I want to start this episode out by saying one thing. I am an absolute moron. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 26 career mode here on the channel. And, well, I did something really stupid for today's episode, and I accidentally muted my audio. That's right. In the recording, I muted the audio. There is not an ounce of it for this video. So what I have done is I've gone in after the fact and I've recorded a couple of laps of audio to then edit over the top of this video. So just a fair warning, the audio of the cars will not be synced up at all with what you see, but it at least makes for a more listenable and watchable experience. So please forgive me, I have since fixed the issue. It stems from when I was streaming the other day on this channel with a watch-along of the Barcelona Grand Prix, and unfortunately, obviously you can't have the broadcast playing on stream, so I mute everything, and I forgot to unmute. So yeah, I did the same thing on my main channel with the NASCAR side of things as well. Forgive me, but we're going to make do with it now, as we've got a big weekend here in Barcelona coming off of, some ups and downs, points in Miami, as well a podium in Canada in a shock race that turned out to be, and then as well in Monaco, we unfortunately had a self-spin that costed us any chance at points, and we finished not even in the top 15. But as we come into Barcelona this weekend, we as well had breaking news from Max Verstappen, who earlier in the season was threatening retirement. Well, he's coming off of 2 consecutive back-to-back wins in Montreal as well as Monaco, and Max Verstappen would go on to confirm this weekend here in Barcelona that he will continue to honor his contract, which runs through 2027. He says, I am not going to retire now at the end of 2026. I will be back for 2027 with Red Bull. However, his future beyond 2027 is far from certain in Formula One, as he has been exploring other ventures of motorsport and says he is very interested in diving into other forms of racing as he continues to kind of dabble around in that. And I'm going to be very curious to see what that turns into. As he said, you can maybe expect some announcements soon as we come through into qualifying here. Q1, Perez currently our teammate in 18th position, and my first opening lap was going all right, at least it felt like, and I wasn't quite sure what that was going to turn up, of course, on the leaderboard. But as we round these final few corners down the front straightaway now with the rear wing open and the front wing down, P17 in front of our teammate of Sergio Perez. And coming to lap 2, my teammate of Perez looking for, of course, some improvements, and we both have now fallen to 18th and 20th. Well, my teammate of Perez would not improve, so that already means for the second consecutive race, we will out-qualify our teammate of Perez. But we have now found time, but I've lost the rear just a little bit there in the final few turns, and that cost me a good 0.3 of a second. So we're only going to improve by about 1/10, and I knew we had at least 0.4 in it, and that means we're out in Q1 in 17th. What could have been right there? You saw the frustration on the camera, as we'll end up 17th here in qualifying, but we know there was at least 3 extra tenths in it, and would that have been enough to get us through into Q2 is the big question as we settle in and focus on that elimination range now. 16th place of Bortoleto. I mean, he barely beat me. If hundredths of a second, we would have easily made it into Q2. Man, that one's frustrating. Let's go forward, though, on Sunday as we get ready to go racing. Now you're stuck with me because, yeah, the audio is muted. So as we come into Barcelona here in Catalonia as well, I mean, an absolutely, historic and awesome circuit. Now this is a track that has grown on me as time has gone on. And as we come into this weekend now, the big questions are, can Red Bull and Max Verstappen continue the pace that they have brought on in some of these last few races? Mercedes' dominance has been halted here in these last few rounds. McLaren as well seem to be bringing some pace. Last time out in Monaco, Mercedes was pretty non-existent. They didn't even qualify in the top 5. And as we come through here to go racing in Spain, now looking at your starting grid on pole position. And again, it's not going to be Mercedes. No, it's a McLaren front row lockout with Lando Norris, the Australian Grand Prix winner, with the Australian teammate of Oscar Piastri there completing that front row. We look forward through the rest of the grid, and as Kimi Antonelli back up in P3 over Max Verstappen, Russell Leclerc makes up row 3 with Hamilton and Hadjar wrapping up 7th and 8th. Albon and Gasly wrap out the top 10. In the bottom half of the grid, you got Ollie Behrman and Fernando Alonso. Home race for him as well. Lawson, Colapinto, Bortoletto wraps out the top 15 with myself moving up 1 spot there over Hulkenberg and Carlos Sainz, who takes a grid penalty. Esteban Ocon, Sergio Perez, Arvid Lindblad, fellow Rookie of the Year competitor, and Lance Stroll round out the top positions here to finish off the grid in 21st and 22nd. For us, it's pretty straightforward. Fortunately, no rain is a threat. We're starting on softs. We'll go to another set of softs and then go on to a set of mediums as this formation lap kicks off as Lando Norris with career pole number 18, your defending champion, who's had a very, very fascinating start to the season, looks to get back on form here. As you see as well, both Mercedes have elected to go into the hard tires, and Hadjar in the Red Bull on mediums. Every other car starting on a soft tire here today. And I've got a lot of confidence for our race. I mean, we're coming off of, what easily would have been a Q2. We have again out-qualified our teammate of Perez. We're getting quite familiar with now out-qualifying him and out-racing him, which I honestly expected. Of course, Cadillac brought him on for experience. They brought me on as a prospect. And, the advantage that Perez has with his experience isn't going to be as strong coming into this new era of Formula One, because it is a completely new, different type of racing and regulation. And it really has started to play into my favor as here we go. It's going to be 33 laps of racing here in Barcelona. It's going to be lights out, let's go racing. Lando Norris with a great launch off the grid on the rundown into turn number 1, and Piastri goes defensive to the right side of the track over Verstappen. Antonelli slips through into P2, and Kimi says thank you very much. 3 wide between Verstappen and the pair of Ferraris of Leclerc in the middle. Hamilton on the left, who backs out. And Max Verstappen hangs out in front of both of them after all of that mayhem there into turn 1. But overall, a very clean start, yet good chunks of 3 wide, 2 wide racing, side-by-side battles happening. But at the end of the day now, Lando Norris out in front over Antonelli, as well as Oscar Piastri to wrap up the top 3. George Russell as well in the 4th position. Keep in mind, both of the Mercedes on hard tires. You might see them kind of struggling for pace early on in this race. As for myself, I made some decent headway as well on this opening lap here off of the start there. As you see my teammate of Sergio Perez right there scrapping with Esteban Ocon. So we had actually gotten up to 13th on the opening lap here. So we had gained 3 positions on the run down into turn 1 and throughout the rest of this lap here. Now as we are going to focus right back up towards the front of this pack here, because as Kimi Antonelli is on that hard tire, you can see he is in fact struggling, because here comes Oscar Piastri now to pass him down this front straightaway. Say thank you very much. And in the background, we got more battles, because Verstappen's under pressure now from the Ferraris, and George Russell's right there as well. Russell's on the way back. Russell drops to P7 on his hard compound tire, so both Mercedes going in the wrong direction right now, but George Russell really taking the biggest hit, because now he's down to P7 while Antonelli finds himself in 3rd. And look at this Albon, Alex Albon in the Williams trying to go around the outside, and Alex Albon and Williams as a whole really showed up last episode in Monaco. I mean, Carlos Sainz put that Williams on the podium, and it wasn't like they lucked into it with strategy or chaos. No, they had the pace in Monaco. They qualified great and they raced great. And up ahead, Albon has passed George Russell in this group that we are right at the back of now. And at the end of the second lap, the chaos, or the entertainment, not chaos, continues on. Max Verstappen goes through on Hamilton, and Antonelli's firing one back up the inside here here of the Australian. This is allowing Lando Norris to just take off in the distance, say thank you very much, gentlemen, you guys keep at it, and I'll just run off and go take over this race here. Now with still over 30 laps of racing to go, but Antonelli cannot quite complete the pass until finally he does complete it, so he moves back up into P2, but I think that battle is far from over as George Russell has now been passed by Isaac Hadjar. He continues to lose ground on those hard tires. I've got a mirror full of Franco Colapinto now, and as we come to lap 4, Antonelli again is going to get passed here by Piastri, and this time Leclerc is right there to pounce as well. Can he keep it around the outside? The answer is not right now, so he'll drop back down to 4th, but I think Antonelli might still, kind of be on the verge here of losing another spot or two, and then a full lap later, both Leclerc and Verstappen get in front of Antonelli, and Verstappen as well back in front of Leclerc. So now Verstappen moves himself into a podium position as we continue now to this 5th lap on our own as well, and George Russell has continued to fade. He's now down to P11. He's even been passed by Ollie Behrman. And for myself, I mean, I don't really have the pace to really get up here and scrap with these guys, so I've just kind of been watching from like a spectator's perspective as George Russell locks up. On lap 6 off the track he goes, and he's going to drop a few more spots behind Alonso, myself, and even Colapinto as well, as now Verstappen on lap 7 is able to get past Oscar Piastri. Antonelli back through on Leclerc, and as all that's happening as well, I mean, coming to another lap later, Leclerc is going to get back in front of Antonelli, bring his teammate of Hamilton through with him. Just so many battles happening lap after lap here in Catalonia, and now Leclerc and Hamilton continue to scrap wheel to wheel as well, and it looks like Hamilton is going to come out on top of that now as George Russell had gotten back in front of Franco Colapinto. And as we come to lap 8 on these soft tires, George is actually going to put some pressure on me. I'm not going to make life difficult on the Mercedes. I mean, it is ranked the best car in the R&D, but certainly not looking like it here right now. But Russell gets through nonetheless, and these battles up towards the top 5 continue because Antonelli comes back at Hamilton now, retakes that position as we come to lap 9. And look at this move from George Russell. 3 wide and even leans on the home driver of Fernando Alonso. They'll be wheel to wheel, 3 wide still. Now Russell lifts. He's too wide here with Behrman, and I'm going to have an opportunity to spice things up as well. I'm going to go for a launch and say thank you very much. 3 wide up the inside, now down to 2 wide as Behrman backs out. What a battle all over the track. You look, there's a battle happening, and it's absolutely fantastic here as we continue on. What a fight here from Spain as we continue in behind the Mercedes, who really lifts early for that lift and coast effect to, of course, build up some more battery. But down the front straightaway to lap 10, Russell lacking the battery he needs, and that allows me to now pass him and move up into P11. So George Russell, man, this is a race that's just really not working out for him very well as we continue on. So, I mean, we're not even halfway yet as we got a spinner. Hadjar into the barrier. That might bring out a safety car. That's not his first self-spin this season. Red Bull has had problems with their cars just really being on a fine edge, and that sure enough is going to bring out a safety car. Hadjar just ruined his own race, and everybody is going to flood into the pit lane. Lando Norris is going to be the first one. He's got such a lead, it doesn't even matter because we are going to see a bunch of double stacking from teams, including our own team here in Cadillac. Ferrari is going to take the biggest hit. They had the closest cars together here with Leclerc and Hamilton. Verstappen had to wait, and that allowed Piastri back through into P2. And we come in now as well, and we'll get service on our Cadillac and on another set of softs. So our strategy actually hasn't changed at all. So we were right around the pit window when that safety car had occurred. So now it's going to be a McLaren 1-2. Antonelli holds on to 3rd. Russell drops into 10th. We gain because of some of these double stacks. So Behrman actually got held up. He's down to 13th. So it works out pretty well for us. And then, of course, a free spot from Isaac Hadjar. So Antonelli 3rd over Leclerc. Verstappen your top 5. Alex Albon in 6th. Sainz got held up massively He's down in 19th position. So as we were getting ready to go back racing here at the conclusion of lap 12 of 33, it's going to be just over 20 laps to go. As we take the green flag, we're back underway here from Barcelona. And we know George Russell's going to be coming after us. And, well, speaking of Mercedes, Antonelli's already bringing the fight into turn 1, but now he's not on a hard tire. He's on even soft tires with the rest of the competition. And he's immediately going to bring that fight to Oscar Piastri as they'll continue side by side just like the opening couple of laps. This is going to allow Lando Norris to run away. And that's just, you know, Antonelli, I understand what he's doing here, trying to get that spot so he can go chase down Lando. But Oscar Piastri is not going to make that easy at all for Kimi Antonelli, who's just in his second season of Formula One and already 2 wins to his name as a young driver who moves through into P2 over the Australian, and that really backed up everybody now, and Lando's already checked out and gone. And unless something goes wrong or if someone else shows up with some pace like an Antonelli, then it looks like it's just going to be a Lando Norris victory at the end of the day. So, I mean, what can you even do at that point? But as we come through to the end of this next lap, Piastri right back at Antonelli, says thank you very much, and here comes Verstappen as well to the inside of Charles Leclerc. And in the far background, George Russell had just passed me into turn 1 as well, so I've now dropped into the 10th position here as Hamilton and the Williams there of Albon scrapping as well, as we've got Gabriel Bortoleto in P11 just a little over a second and a half behind us in P11, and then Behrman just actually in a very close fight there behind us, as well as side-by-side battle with Bortoleto, and he goes through. It looks like, I mean, they're going to continue to scrap as well. But for us, we're doing everything right here today, and we just got to keep doing what we're doing. George Russell is starting to claw his way back forward now that he's on even tires with the rest of the field. Antonelli has dropped down to 4th behind now Max Verstappen, as I did get a strategy change recommendation from Mark, but I decided to go with that strategy of just running a few more laps here. And then have, hopefully, you know, just a better opportunity to put some fresh tires to work here later in this Grand Prix. Now, as these laps continue on, we've unfortunately, for the most part, lost contact with the main group in front of us, but we got a yellow, and it's Leclerc. Charles Leclerc with an engine failure. You see the smoke pouring out of the back of that Ferrari, and it's going to be race over for the Monegasque, and it has not been the race he's been wanting, and now a turn for the worse as he's done, as he's been a championship threat early in the season. Your Miami Grand Prix winner, as Max Verstappen has gone through into P2 over Oscar Piastri. What a drive right there from the Dutchman, as everybody 7th on forward has driven away, but one driver we are closing in on is the Frenchman of Pierre Gasly, and lap after lap I was just kind of reeling him in little by little. Behrman right now 1 spot behind us, just under 2 seconds between us, running pretty similar times lap after lap. He's got Franco Colapinto just behind him, as here comes now Max Verstappen as well as Oscar Piastri into the pits now at the end of lap 22 at this point now, and they're not close enough to Lando to undercut him, but Kimi Antonelli is going to go a little bit further, so is Hamilton. They'll be coming into the pits. They'll be coming up behind both Verstappen as well as Piastri. Now Gasly's in. We were supposed to be pitting as well this lap, but of course we committed to the strategy change of coming in now at the end of lap 23. So we're still going to run another 2 laps here, meaning that at the end of this lap, Lando and everyone else is going to be coming in, I believe, as well. Yes, Antonelli's in, Hamilton's in, Lando's in. So we are going to take over the lead of this Grand Prix for the majority of this lap right now, as Lando's already exiting the pit lane. He is going to be comfortably in front of Verstappen in 2nd and Piastri in 3rd. Kimi Antonelli will end up in P4 with just 1 lap fresher tires than Piastri and Verstappen. You do have to wonder if he's going to have enough to be able to work his way forward. Look on the track map, Sector 2, we got a spin. That's actually Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon in the Haas has had a bit of a self-spin. He's got it back going, so we do stay green. I would have loved a virtual safety car or something right there now. As I come into my box, Piastri has now been able to get back in front of Verstappen and takes over P2 with just 10 laps to go. As with us going a few laps longer, we come out behind Carlos Sainz, who's had an absolutely incredible drive back forward, and as well we come out behind Colapinto, and as well behind Ollie Behrman. Just close quarters racing right there with Isaac Hadjar behind us in 13th place, and my teammate of Perez in 14th. Now, unfortunately, as we got up to speed, got up these tires, temperatures on them, we weren't really gaining like I had hoped, and we have gone from running in the points now to P12 behind Behrman and Colapinto. And you guys remember, we were running pretty similar pace to these guys before we came into the pits, and I was hoping that a few laps fresher tires was going to allow us to run them back down and pass them with ease. And it wasn't happening. We were at certain points of the circuit closing in on Behrman, and at certain points of the circuit losing to Behrman. So at one point we would be under a second to him, and then at the other side of the track we would be a second and a half behind him, and that would continue over these next few laps as Hadjar is closing in 2 seconds back on soft tires as we come to lap 28, and this battle is still raging on here. Norris leads by nearly 4 seconds as Verstappen trying to go back through into P2, but this is where Antonelli could make some serious gains. He's just barely over a second behind Piastri and Verstappen. Hamilton running P5 right now over George Russell, who's had a decent recovery drive into P6 now as both the Williams are 7th and 8th. How has Carlos Sainz managed to get himself back into the points? That might be the most impressive drive of the season from Carlos Sainz, who was out of the top 15 when we went back racing. What a drive there from the home driver. Now, of course, the other home driver of Alonso down in 16th. Not quite the race he's been looking for as retirement rumors continue to swirl about Fernando Alonso, your two-time Formula One world champion as well, as we are now coming up on just 4 laps to go here from Catalonia now, and the gap to Hadjar has stabilized, and Perez, who had been kind of basically latching onto the back of Hadjar to pull him along, has unfortunately in these closing laps, as he's running great in 14th, he's actually starting to fall off of Hadjar a little bit now, and I fear that once he falls out of that overtake range, the boost button range, which he has now, I think he's going to start to trickle down the order, as he's right now running 14th. We'll see where he ends up, but now with just a few laps to go, really trying to get close as I can to Behrman and just continue to put the pressure on now, as here comes with 2 laps to go at this point. Piastri back at Verstappen, but Antonelli has run both of them down, and Antonelli gets through on Verstappen, and Max drops to 4th as Antonelli into 3rd, Piastri into P2, as we are closer than we've ever been on this run since we exited the pits, at least, to Ollie Behrman, as we are now within just 4 to 5 tenths of a second, and we know coming to the final lap we might have a shot to at least get in front of him. My teammate of Perez has in fact been falling down the order since he had fallen out of range of Hadjar, of that 1 second threshold, unfortunately, now as we are approaching the final lap of this Grand Prix. Now a bit of a slap right there on the wheel now, the oversteer kicking in as we come through the double right-hander to start the final lap, and this is gonna be interesting because as we hit that boost button, Behrman clearly doesn't really have the battery he needs, and now we're gonna pull right up to the back of the British driver, right side of him now, wheel to wheel on the run down into turn 1. Not even a contest, clear of Behrman into turn 1. Thank you very much. Not points, but it's P11, and that's still a great effort for this little team of Cadillac that could, as we continue to impress as a rookie that comes from IndyCar here in Formula One, with the hopes, of course, of securing this ride for next season. We know if we secure this ride, that would mean Sergio Perez will be out, and that would also mean Colton Herta would be coming on board to be our teammate now, as Lando Norris rounds the final turn from pole position number 18 to career win number 13 here in Barcelona. It's going to be Piastri making it a McLaren 1-2. Antonelli will round off the podium over Verstappen. Hamilton your top 5, and George Russell in P6, and Carlos Sainz was also able to get his teammate of Alex Albon for 7th. And for us, like I said, not points, but I'm quite happy with it now. P11, a great day, a great drive here with Cadillac. Let's go, guys. That was fun. I mean, the car was clicking here. Felt great. If we can bring these cars to the track every week, we're gonna continue to outperform our expectations. And driver of the day goes to Carlos Sainz. And speaking of podiums as well, that we're gonna see the celebration here as Lando Norris hops out of his McLaren. That's career podium number 48 for your defending world champion. Now for Oscar Piastri, career podium number 29 for Kimi Antonelli, of course. Norris, with now just a couple wins under his belt, well, that's his 8th career podium. And for members, well, with McLaren winning, of course, that means we've got a couple of members, Adam Angel as the Oscar Piastri race engineer, and Bruin 9 pick up the win. So congratulations to them, and that's the second win for Bruin, so huge shout out to him, and as well for Adam, that's his first. So absolutely awesome to see you guys picking up some wins as members of the channel, as we continue to focus in on the future of the season, which continues to look bright. And Williams really showing up right now in 7th and 8th, and as well both the Alpines in the points with some great efforts as well. Colapinto really doing himself some favors here to kind of secure his ride for next season potentially, as he continues to run pretty well. And looking at the points, Lando Norris now takes over the championship lead by 5 points over Antonelli. Russell back by 9. Leclerc, after the engine failure, drops down to 4th. A little ways out, 17 points back, and Mercedes has a 38-point margin on McLaren, 53 over Ferrari. That does it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one, where we will have game audio. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.